Good morning. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you could join me again today. Today marks day 2 of our Tuning Your Receiver Challenge. And before we start, we're just going to take a moment. We're going to breathe. We're going to adjust ourselves so that wherever we're sitting is comfortable and supportive. And we're going to start by taking just a few deep breaths, settling the nervous system and tuning into our body and to our breath to guide us through this second part of the challenge. What I'm going to start with today is just a little bit of a recap and a check-in from day 1. So our day 1 part of the challenge was as simple as it sounded, to just be aware, to be aware of the thoughts that you have throughout your day. When you're in situations with others, when you're by yourself, when you get triggered, when something happens and you don't like it. What are the thoughts that are running through your head? I hope you've made a list of them and just keep being aware that they're happening. And you get to choose whether you want to continue with that thought or change it. So I was just checking in to see. Part of what I do for fun sometimes is I have several, I guess, oracle card decks that help me tune into my own intuition, to help me tune into my own receiver. And today, it never fails. I always pick the cards that have the most meaning for that moment, for that day, for that experience. And so I'm going to show you this card. I know my listeners who are on the podcast won't be able to see it, but the front of the card says, I can gradually change my vibrational frequency. So there's the card. And on the back of the card, there is no thought that you cannot eventually have. Just as there is no place that you cannot eventually reach from wherever you are. But you cannot instantly jump to a thought that has a vibrational frequency very different from the thoughts you are usually thinking. So that goes along with what we said yesterday, was that being very mindful of the vibration and the feeling and the emotion that are behind those thoughts. And when we notice and we're aware that we're in a lower vibrational frequency, we want to get out of it as soon as possible. So I'm going to start doing my affirmations. I'm going to start all these things that are going to lift me up and get me out of it. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that. It could, if you've gotten really good at noticing and shifting and pivoting into a better feeling thought, a better feeling emotion. But most often, especially if you're just learning this process, being gentle with yourself, being gentle with the world around you is going to serve you very well. This thing we call life, it's not a race. It's not a competition. We're here to experience things. So allow yourself the grace and the courage to experience everything that you need to experience. So moving forward with today, and as I was scrolling a little bit this morning on social media, another symbol, a very well-known symbol, showed up on my feed. It was the Chinese yin yang symbol. You know, the one with the swirl of black on one side and the white dot, and the swirl of white on the other with the black dot or the white dot. So anyway, that message this morning, this was the message. For every thought that traps consciousness, there is another thought that sets it free. So while you're becoming aware of your thoughts, the next step of that part of the challenge is going to be rewriting that thought so that it reflects how you want to feel. So, for example, if I recognize the thought that I have to work really hard to make money and money is difficult to make, the reverse of that might sound like it is easy to make money doing what I love. Simple as that. Switch how your words are put together and create a new thought, a new story for yourself. It's really easy once you get the hang of it, and once you get into that momentum of really wanting to feel better. So I'm going to go through really quick a quick list that I created about 21 steps on how to change your reality, your life, and raising your vibration. So step number 1, covered it yesterday. Be aware that you're capable of changing your reality. Just be aware of the possibility of what you could create in your reality. Number 2, be in the receptive mode by consciously tuning your receiver. So what station are you tuned into right now? Where are you as you're listening to me? Where are you feeling it in your body? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling lost? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling excited? To be in the receptive mode, we need to be willing to receive a higher vibration. And so we do that by shifting our focus on anything outside of us and start focusing on what's inside of us, what our inner landscape looks like, feels like. Number 3, create moments of conscious creation. What does that mean? So our entire life is made up of little moments. I liken it to little Christmas lights strung around the house, even when it's not Christmas. Each light is a moment, and our life is that string of moments. Sometimes the bulbs go out, right? And sometimes we need to adjust them. Sometimes we need to replace the bulb, and we need to replace our thought. And by doing that, you're consciously creating a new reality. Number 4, the very first thought of your day, before you even lift your head off the pillow, when you're just coming into that state of awareness, of consciousness from your restful night's sleep, The first thought of your morning will set the tone, will tune that receiver to that frequency. And I get into this quite deeply in my Inner Landscape program, specifically the book-ended routines that we have for the morning routine and the evening routine. So sometimes it's helpful to write just a few words down that you want to embody for that day, whether it's positivity or the possibility of what could come to me, or joyful, or feeling at ease in my body. Whatever is giving you the most momentum throughout your days, put that little word next to your pillow, next to your bed, and read it first thing in the morning, or at least conjure that thought up and tune your body to that receiver. Doesn't mean you're never going to dip. It doesn't mean you're not going to go back. It doesn't mean anything other than you're practicing raising your vibration. You're practicing tuning your internal antenna, your receiver, to a better day. It's a beautiful thing about the morning. We get a chance to start all over again. I think that is one of the biggest gifts we can have. Every 24 hours, we get to try it again. We get to practice it again. Number 5, dropping all resistance to your true nature. Because when we drop our resistance to our true nature, and above all else, above all of the little unique things that make up your true nature, change is our true nature. We're like a tree or a flower or something in the garden or a weed that grows. And every day it has to grow and change to acclimate to its environment. If it hasn't rained in a while, the roots get deeper, look for water. If there's, if it's too cold, the growth gets stunted and it waits. There's all these ways of watching nature and how it changes effortlessly. And moment by moment, eventually it becomes a 150-year-old maple tree or a beautiful flower garden. Cultivate. It's all about cultivating your true nature. Bottom line, bottom of everything on this planet is change. That is the reality. That is everything's true nature. The universe has to expand. That's what it does. It expands, and we're in the universe. And if the universe around you is expanding like this and you're stuck like this, you're going to be in so much discomfort. So embrace change. Doesn't mean you have to go out and get your whole new haircut and a brand new wardrobe and change the house and move and all these things. Those things are changes that we make happen, but there are changes all the time in the body that are happening too. Every 7 years we have, a brand new liver, and all of our organs have regenerated their cells and our tissues and our everything. So even in micro changes, you're not the same person you were this morning. You aren't the same person that you were yesterday on a biological level. I think that's amazing. This one, number 6, is a fun one, and it really hit home for me. Mind your own damn business and bring your focus back to you. As much as we want to help people, as much as we want to tell ourselves we're responsible for people and situations. Sometimes life, the universe just has a way of doing what it's going to do, and you have to give people space and room to do that. Forcing your ways, your beliefs, your opinions on people, and focusing on, when your mind goes to, I'll give you the example of me and my divorce. For the longest time, right after it happened, I found myself unconsciously drifting into that space of, what is he doing? What is he feeling? And making myself feel worse and worse and worse for having had to have made a choice that I knew in my depths of my soul was the best thing, but my focus kept going back, kept going back, kept going back to him and the situation and how it could have been different, coming up with all these stories and scenarios, right? And the more every time my thoughts went to him, I had to consciously be aware of it and say, you know what? It doesn't matter what's happening with him right now. I love him. Wish him well, but I need to focus on me. I need to focus on me. I need to focus on me. And it's not selfish. You can do this regardless of what's happening in your life. Things could actually be pretty okay, but you find yourself constantly worried about that one friend, that one relative, that one dear loved one who, in our opinion, is making the wrong choice, is, doing things not the most intelligent way. Who says who says? You don't know their journey, and their journey is none of your business. We get too involved in other people's business. We need to stop. So mind your own damn business. Focus on yourself, because the more you focus on yourself, the more you're going to actually affect the other person. That's what frequency and vibration does. When we're emitting this love and peace and joy all over the place, the people that are around us can't help but be affected. So you want to help someone? Focus on your own vibration. Focus on keeping it as high and as consistent as possible. 7 was tuning the receiver. So number 8 is accept, let go, and move forward. One of my clients recently asked me to record a morning meditation for her. And so I did, and the focus was on this specifically. So you're going about your day, or first thing in the morning, and this unpleasant thought or memory or experience comes up, and you'd really rather not have it, but you don't know how to let it go and move through it. So accept it for what it is. I'm sitting in traffic. Okay, I'm accepting this. Okay, there's a reason why all of these people are in their cars and all of our energy is directed in one direction, and it's going to serve me no good to get upset, to yell at the person next to me, or even snap the person in my car. And so in that moment, make a mental note to yourself. I'm accepting what is. I'm just accepting it. It's what it is. I cannot change it in this very moment. And in this very moment, I am safe. I am secure. I have everything I need. And that's how you let it go. If you want, you can kind of flick the thoughts in your head. Just let it go, like little clouds, like little icons, like you're flipping through an Instagram post. Just swipe left. Just swipe left. And then move forward. I know, it sounds all very simple. And when you're in the midst of things, it doesn't feel very simple. but it's only as complex as you make it out to be. This is one of my favorites. Excuse me. Number 9, meditate, nap, rest, and repeat. In our culture, we are so driven by keeping busy, by going all the time, because being productive is a sign that I'm a good person, and being productive is a sign that I've got my shit together, and being a busy person is a sign that I know what I'm doing. But that's autopilot. And the more frequency and energy we put into those things unconsciously, the more drained we're going to feel. And so when you feel like you don't have any energy to do anything, it's because you don't have any energy to do anything, because you've just given away all of your energy, all of it. So whether you're sitting at your desk or at home on the couch or in the kitchen making dinner, you can close your eyes for just a minute, just a moment. Be where your feet are. Feel the ground underneath you. Still the breath. Tune into your breath. Or if you have the time, lie down. If you've been having busy, crazy, annoying, irritating, overwhelming, anxiety-ridden thoughts, go take a nap. Set a timer for 15 minutes. When we go to sleep, when we nap, and when we meditate, the same thing happens. Our thoughts get really, really, really quiet. And that's the reset that we sometimes need throughout our day. Resting, doing nothing, is one of the most beautiful activities human beings can do. Oh, I know your house is a mess. I know you've got people coming over later. I know there's so much to do. There's always something to do. You got to get it done. I got to get it done. What if it's just how your life is? What if messy was okay? What if chaos and confusion in your immediate surroundings were okay, if you were having fun, if you were actually enjoying it? The other part of this is that we don't get to do everything we want to do in life. We have bucket lists, we have to-do lists, we have things that we want to experience in our life. We have, all these hopes and dreams for ourselves. I'm here to give you a little bit of a global consciousness reality check. You're not going to be able to do everything. You just won't. And there will always be something to do. There will always be something next to do. That's how it works. So you get to choose what makes you happy, what makes you peaceful, and what makes you joyful, and how can you go do that in your everyday moments. And repeating, resting. This is, you have to recharge your phone. You have to recharge your laptop. We have to recharge a lot of things. Solar lights out in your garden, in your walkway, they have to get recharged every single day. You're the same. You're exactly the same mechanism. You just have this physical, what I lovingly call a meat suit that you wear. You have no energy because your battery is low. Go plug yourself in. Find a way to plug yourself in and recharge. This is a fun one, and I'm not sure I'll be able to go through much of this because this is a whole days and days and days worth of a topic, but learn the distinction between the ego and the higher self. I had this conversation when I was on a walk with a friend yesterday, and the difference between the ego and the higher self is that of unconsciousness or consciousness. When you are on autopilot, when you're not being mindful and aware of your moment to moment happenings, feelings, your subconscious is running the show. And that's basically the ego. The ego is such a beautiful thing. I wish more people would think that. So there's a difference, as my friend asked. So what's the difference between someone who's egoic, has an ego personality, as opposed to just the ego? So when someone is expressing themselves in a machismo, everything's about them, ego, 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 the typical way that we have been taught to understand the ego, they are in a severe state of survival. Something in their environment is threatening them, and they are literally getting the message via the hormone delivery system that we have to fight or flight. We have to puff up to protect ourselves. That's what survival mode is. You're protecting yourself. And the ego has a beautiful way of doing it. The ego's been doing it since we were born. And so the thoughts that are on a lower vibrational scale, the thoughts that pull you down to that low vibrational scale, that low frequency, it's most likely coming from the ego, from a place of survival. And your higher self, your higher being, God, universe, source, who's always with you, by the way. You never lose that connection. It's just your perception of that connection that's lost. It only wants love and joy and peace and ease for you. Always, 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 always. So, being aware of your thoughts, what are these thoughts telling me? What are they actually saying? This is a chance, a deeper chance for you to notice now, where are those feelings coming from? Where are those thoughts coming from? Am I in thriving, which is your higher self, your higher consciousness, or am I in surviving? There's really two states. You can kind of be stuck in the mud in the middle a little bit, but you know how each of them feels. You know, when you get a thought of, oh, this is so exciting, or, oh, the opportunities that are coming to me, or, oh my gosh, look at what just happened. This is so cool. Or, wow, that really made me feel good. That's all higher power. That's all consciousness coming to you. But the other ones are, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Or, gosh, that person's really, really annoying. Or, I can't believe this person thinks that way. Or, I really don't have my shit together. I am so lazy. I wish I wasn't so lazy. I wish I could be more like her. I feel so awful for what happened. So when we play the blame and the guilt and the self-criticism game, They're all coming from the ego. And the ego has a wonderful way, the subconscious, going in deep into that subconscious, into all of those memories, all of the stories that it's ever told you. It's going to find ways to justify why that is the safest place for you. It used to be when we were small and we couldn't articulate how we felt and why things felt so disconnected. But we needed our parents, we needed our guardians to take care of us. And so what happens is the ego starts to compartmentalize and put all of those feelings and all of those ways of being in little boxes and tosses them to the back, knowing fully that one day you're going to need to go back into one of those boxes and pull out your vulnerability. You're going to need to pull out the compassion. You're going to need to pull out the non-judgmental, true nature being that you were born to be. And so it's when that contrast starts to show up. Excuse me. When the contrast in your life, contrast is something that I do want and something that I don't want. Every time you always have two choices, two options. Whenever you're presented with something, is this something that I want? Is this something that I do not want? There's a contrast there. And when you start going down this path, when you start yourself on this journey, a lot of what you do not want is going to come up to the surface and slap you in the face. Say, are you sure? Are you sure? I can justify why you want it. Are you sure? Are you sure? We've gone through experiences. I know. Are you sure? And coming from a place of awareness and peace and ease, your higher self will always support you, will always love you, will always want what is best for you. So there's a distinction. And I think that is going to bring us to the end of our day 2 challenge. So I've given you a lot of things to think about today, a lot of things. My inner landscape program basically revolves around an awareness stage, unpacking stage, and a flow stage. So we are all currently in the awareness stage of all of the ways that we keep ourselves small and safe and comfortable so that we don't get triggered. Here's your biggest challenge for today. What if when you get triggered, the next time you get triggered, could be in the next 5 minutes, could be right now. When you get triggered, no matter what it is and who it's coming from, and I know you're capable of doing this, so I want you to stand there and notice that you're being triggered, but do not engage. Do not engage with the trigger. Do not engage with the person. Do not engage with the event. Do not allow the thoughts to run through your head and justify why you're being triggered. I want you to pause. I want you to take a deep breath, maybe 3 or 35. And I want you to find a way of turning that trigger into a gift. What is happening right now inside of me? What is the gift, the lesson that I'm supposed to learn? Because this kind of thing keeps happening to me. It keeps happening to me. Keeps happening to me. These emotions keep coming up. It's still there. It's still there. It's still there. Well, what is it teaching you? It's not going to go away until you've learned the lesson. And the most beautiful thing about triggers is that they do subside. They do their power gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And the voice gets lighter and lighter and lighter and more faint, almost to the point where you just can't hear it anymore. And that's a really great place to be, because that means you have just expanded. You have just learned that you are not your thoughts. You've been able to observe them. You've been able to witness them. This is a whole different layer of being human than most of you probably have ever heard. And you don't have to buy what I say. I'm not selling it. You don't have to believe anything I say. It doesn't have to be your truth. But I come to you because I know how I've been feeling most of my life. And I know how I've been feeling the last few months of my life. I've never felt this good in my whole life. And I'm here just to show you, just to tell you, just to explain how possible it all is. I'm going to leave you with that for the day. I'll see you tomorrow at noon for the final day of our 3-day Tuning Your Vibration Challenge. What station are you tuned into today?